Hey everyone, the numbers are in for Seychelles and Panama City Beach for September 2021. I haven't done a deep dive into pricing in this building in quite some time, so I wanted to make sure you guys had all the relevant information on pricing and also what's going on in the market. We're seeing some pretty interesting changes the last couple of months, so I want to go through those with you as well. Again, I'm Craig Duran with the Duran Group over at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. I'm going to go pretty quick because there's a lot of data I want you to digest, so let's jump right into it. We're tracking week by week. One of the things we do is we track 4 different metrics to see what's going on in the market and help us see what's happening in the overall market. We'll go through this first and then get into Seychelles specifically. We track 4 things: the number of units that are for sale at any given time. So what's our supply look like? What's going on week to week with new inventory that's being added to the supply. So we're looking not only at what our existing supply looks like, but are we adding to that fast or slow? We're also looking, this is a very important one, this is probably one of the best ones to look at that gives us a glimpse into the future. Are we writing, how many more new contracts are being put together each week? How often do we see a condo go actually from for sale to sale pending? That can give us a glimpse into what closings will look like in 30 or 45 days, which can affect pricing. Obviously, if we're writing fewer contracts this month, we're going to have less closings next month. And then, of course, we're looking at this number here, the number of sold units. So let's look at it, a few of the things and seeing what's happened. There's a couple interesting shifts happening right now. If you look at the number of units for sale and you look through every week, we're down about 30% when you compare it with the same time last year. On its face, that sounds encouraging for an owner. That means we have less supply. That means buyers have fewer choices. That means the market should stay healthy just because sellers have a little more of an advantage. But look at that column compared to May. In May, we were down 70+% year over year. We're now down just over 30%. So if you think about what's happening there, we still have less supply. We're still in a lower inventory market, but we have more inventory than we did than just a few months ago. We're adding some condos to the mix. You could think about that in a way that we're slowing down just a little bit. If you look at the number of new listings, that's encouraging because back in May, we were adding units 68, 65, 27% early in the month. And we were absorbing them because we were selling so many. If you look at that number, which we'll get to in just a second. But in September, the number of new listings coming to the market is not overly impressive. For the month, it's only 3%. So that's encouraging in that we're not adding so much supply so quickly to the market, because if we did, that could slow some things down. The number of new contracts is telling us a pretty big story. Let's go back to May 1st. In May, we were writing 95% more contracts when compared to that week the year before, 51% more, 62% more, 28% more. Those are really huge, huge numbers. The number of new contracts written in September this year were down 31%, down 33%, up 41, up 2, down 28%. We're off for the month of 4%. Writing a few less contracts means we're going to have a few less closings in a couple of months. And if you look at the number of sales, also telling. We closed 17% more, 19% more, 7% more, than down 26 and down 45. We're off 11% on average for the month. In May, it was obscene. We had 588% more new closings, 185%, 142, 63. So pretty dramatic difference there when you look at the last 2 columns to see that we're writing a few less contracts and we're having a few less closings. Not huge numbers, but it matters. It'll be what I think will be interesting, and why I'm going to commit to doing one of these updates, a specific deep dive for the next few months as we lead into the spring, is to see how much, is this just a quick seasonal adjustment, or is this a beginning of a trend that we need to watch out for to get ahead of pricing a little bit. Another way to look at this, you guys know I love this chart. The red line represents the number of units for sale, again, supply. The black line represents the demand, or the number of closings we're having. We were month over month, we had fewer condos for sale since the beginning of the pandemic. The market heated up, and we had fewer and fewer and fewer condos for sale almost by the month. In April of this year, all of a sudden, going into May, we ended up with a few more condos for sale, and then we had a few more, and then we had a few more. Our supply number is actually back above for the Gulf Front market in the newer buildings. This is just running units built since 2005. We're actually over the amount of units we had for sale going into the pandemic, which is interesting, I think. If you look at the months of inventory number, you know I'm a big fan of this one. Remember, months of inventory is just representative of how fast or slow things are selling, and factoring in a couple of other numbers. But theoretically, it takes us 4 or 5 months to work through the process. Seller calls real estate agent markets the property, shows, negotiates contracts, works through to a closing. Normally, that takes 4 or 5 months in real estate. We've gone from below 1 month of inventory, which means theoretically all of the condos in this sample, which is everything newer than 2005, theoretically would sell in less than a month back here in the middle of the year. But by now, we've slowed down. Look at July, 1.88, August, 2.44. We're now up to 3.8 months of inventory. So we're getting close to hovering around neutral market territory. Again, we're going to watch this week over week, month over month to see, is this a turning into a long trend, or is this just a slight seasonal adjustment because of what's going on at the beach? When we look at Seychelles specifically, pardon me, the numbers will really bounce around on that same chart just because we're not pulling in as much data. But you can see very generally, Seychelles has been a pretty hot market. Other than like the month of July, we were a little slower with. It slowed us down to 3 months of inventory, which is still a good, healthy market. If we go back the last 2 months to see what's closed, we had one of the one bedrooms close at $374,900, and we had one of the end units close at $620. So still some pretty good sales numbers. Pricing hasn't been hugely affected yet. And probably also what's most encouraging in this building compared to a few others, there are only 3 units on the board, so to speak, right now, and all 3 of them are under contract. So we have one asking $379,800. We're working on that one. There's another one at $390 and another one at $405. Those are the asking prices. So it's encouraging. Seychelles, compared to the rest of the condo market, is in a little bit of a lower inventory situation, 0 units for sale right now. And pricing hasn't moved around a lot yet, considering there's probably slight differences in floor height and condition and those kinds of things. If I know most of you guys are already signed up for our e-alert system, if you're not and you want to keep track of the market, this is a really excellent way, especially when you see shifts in the market. This is a really great way to stay on top of pricing. Remember, our e-alert system will send you an email anytime a unit comes up for sale, changes price, goes under contract, or most importantly, when it closes. It will give you the exact sale date and sale price straight from our realtor system, so you know what's happening. We can set you up for just certain units. We can set you up for just sales. We can set you up for all of it. Also, we can send this to you daily. If anything happens in Seychelles in a given day, you'll get notified. Or if you don't want it that often and you want it once per week or once per month, we can batch it for you that way. Again, it's an excellent, easy way to stay in touch with the changing market. If you want to be signed up and you're not, just text Seychelles to my cell phone number, 850-527-0221. We'll get you set up. Hope you guys found this helpful. Again, we're going to be watching for trends over the next few months to see if the trends we're seeing start are these beginnings of trends that are starting to take us into a different market that might be a little slower than we've seen in the last year and a half, or is this a slight seasonal adjustment and we're still in a very strong, healthy market, maybe not quite as hot as we were this year, but still very, very good. So we'll have another update for you this time next month. It'll be on the website, have a QR code in your mailer, and we'll go from there. Hope you all are doing well. Stay safe. Thanks for watching.